Hi Rahul, how are you?
Hi Alok, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. I've just gone live on Facebook and YouTube, and this is a very interesting and very important webinar which we are doing today. And there is a disruption in terms of how the income tax department will work is happening in India, and it is very pertinent for all of us to understand and analyze the impact of that. So, I think let's start and. We are live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, and we will also take queries on just put in your query in the comment box, and we will be more than happy to answer. Let me introduce myself. This is Alok Patnia. I'm the managing partner at Tax Mantra Global, and I have got Rahul with me. Rahul Agarwala. He's a partner at Tax Mantra Global. He's head of South India practice. He is based out of Bangalore, and today we will be doing this webinar on faceless assessments, which is just got introduced in India. And under the new system, taxpayers won't have to visit their jurisdictional tax officers or the income tax department or receiving the tax notices as such. What will happen is everything will be online, and government is trying to bring in a lot of transparency, both in terms of information and in terms of how the assessments are being done in India. And the objective behind this is to create a friendly ecosystem by introducing more transparency, simplification, and ease of sorting out things. So with this thought process, the faceless e-assessment process by the CBDT, which is the Central Board of Direct Tax, for income tax return is a remarkable steps towards achieving that objective. So basically, what does faceless assessment means? The faceless assessment basically means that uh, it's there is no need to go physical. There is no physical meeting. You don't know which officer is doing the tax assessment, and it is completely online. The submission and everything will be online. Even the appeals and assessments, everything will be online. This was the pretext was set during the budget speech on 5th of July 2019, and subsequently on 7th of October 2019, the e-assessment was inaugurated by the finance minister. This August 13th, 2020, PM had launched a transparent taxation system wherein he said that now the e-assessment will kick off. And the outcome of this scheme would be the taxpayer, as I said, will no longer be attached to a specific territory or jurisdiction or an office for assessments. And instead, it will be a faceless and completely electronic assessment scheme, eliminating all human interfaces. National E-Assessment Center has been empowered as the main gateway for communication between the taxpayers and the tax authorities. And it has been set up in Delhi as the headquartered. Further, regional e-assessment centers has been set up in 20 cities, including Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, and Chennai. As I said, the National E-Assessment Center will serve a notice to the SSC under subsection 2 of section 143. Rahul will go in details, so I will skip myself from going into a lot of details. But basically, the shift is towards rationalization, simplification, greater transparency, ease of managing tax issues, and creating an overall taxpayer friendly ecosystem. And this e-assessment faceless system is for income tax, which is currently being piloted. If this works well, then they will do it for all the tax assessments or other assessments which the government want to do. Uh, and with the new implementation, we hope that a lot of unification which will come in, and this will remove a lot of gray areas of tax administration. And with this e-assessment, what is more important for taxpayers is that you have to be very careful and very uh, I think careful and aware in terms of what submission you're doing, because the quality of submission and the quality of representation to the tax officer becomes very important. That's the most important thing, because if your officer doesn't accept what you have represented, then you will have an option to go for an appeal. Now, if you don't do that, if you don't have a proper submission, then your chance of having a positive outcome at a later stage gets reduced. So with this, I hand over to Rahul. Rahul, please help us to understand more in detail and in terms of what is e-assessment. And I know you will go deep, and we will all enjoy the great and insightful webinar which you want to have. So thanks, Rahul, for that.
Thank you, Alok, for the introduction. And yeah, as you very rightly said, so this is a landmark thing which the government and the income tax department has done. So before we proceed with the slides, we'll give a brief background. So in the income tax, the returns which we file, which the individuals, which the companies, they do file their income tax returns with the income tax department. They pay their taxes, and mostly these payment of taxes and filing of return is based on the concept of self-assessment. So the SSC, the person who is filing the income tax return, self-assesses his income, his taxes, and declares it with the government and with the income tax department. And the department accepts what is self-assessed by the SSCs. And based on the different criterias, there are certain cases which are scrutinized, which are assessed, and that is mostly called assessment, wherein the income tax department would then go deep into the details of the returns filed, the supporting documents, the books of accounts, the financials may be audited or unaudited, whatever is there. They would assess those and try and compute the actual income of the person and the taxes payable. And if the tax assessed and the income assessed by the income tax department, if that is equal to what the SSC has already declared, then it's fine. Otherwise, the tax department would impose additional taxes, interest, and penalty on that. So there are various kind of assessments which happen, and scrutiny assessment is the regular assessment which is done by the income tax department. Then there is a best judgment assessment. When they don't have any detail, they would based on their judgment and based on the information which the income tax department have in their possession, they assess the total income of the SSC. And then there is an income escaping assessment which is done to unearth the income which is not declared to the tax department. And there are also cases of search, seizures, and survey wherein the tax department would raid the premises, the business or the residential premises of the SSCs and try to unearth the undeclared or undisclosed income. So mostly these are the cases of assessments wherein the tax department would try to find out the actual income and the taxes payable on such income. And earlier, all these assessments several years ago, they used to be completely manual. And then over a period of time, the income tax department went digital, and all the income tax filing started online from, I think, 2006 onwards. And then over a period of time, the department also brought in the e-assessment proceedings in 2018-19, wherein through the income tax login credentials of the person, one can log in into the income tax portal and submit response, see notices, and also carry out the compliances online through the e-proceeding portal. However, in all these assessments and all these, even in the e-proceeding portal, there is a jurisdiction which is defined for a particular SSC based upon the address of the SSC, based upon the name of the SSC, and also the quantum of income which the SSC declares. They are categorized into different jurisdictions of tax officers, and that jurisdiction of tax officer does assess the income and carries out various activities for that particular SSC. That is how the income tax department has been traditionally working. And the idea behind faceless assessment is that this whole human interface, wherein either through manual process or through online e-proceeding process, where there is a particular officer assigned to a particular SSC and there is a interface between the two of them and there is a direct interaction, the tax department was of the view that that would give chance for corruption, and would it was leading to corruption at various stages, and also hassle for the SSCs. So with this background, the government has been pushing for e-governance, and under the e-governance plan, the government has brought in this faceless assessment, where the officer who would be assessing the income of a particular person will be anonymous, and no one would be knowing that who is assessing the income, and 100% interface would be online through the online faceless assessment portal. So the key highlights of this faceless assessment scheme, it aims to make the tax assessment system seamless, painless, and faceless. And the platform has major reforms like faceless assessment, faceless appeal. So not only assessment, once the assessment is done, there are opportunities for the SSCs to go for further levels of appeal. So first appellate level is the Commissioner of Income Tax Appeals in the Income Tax Department, and even the appeals at the Commissioner appeal levels have been made faceless. And there is a taxpayer charter which has been prepared to ensure proper and timely deliverable from the tax department. And this particular faceless assessment scheme has been implemented with effect from August 13, 2020 for regular assessments, and for appeal this has been effective from September 25th, 2020 this year. So the term assessment has not been defined in the income tax department. However, in general, it is the process of examining the return of income to determine the exact income of the SSC, as we were discussing earlier. And previously, the assessments were entirely manual, but now the CBDT, the Central Board of Direct Taxes, has introduced the concept of e-assessments. And under this initiative, the entire process from the issuing of notice to the SSC, submission of replies by the SSC, by the individuals and the companies to the assessing officer, everything would happen electronically. And as we discussed earlier, these are the types of assessments which the tax department does. It's the scrutiny assessment, best judgment assessment, income escaping assessment, and then we have the search, seizure, and survey cases. So the whole idea behind this faceless assessment scheme is to eliminate the interface between the assessing officer and the SSC in the course of proceedings to the extent technologically feasible. So still there are certain places where manual intervention and manual interface would be required. We'll discuss that at a later stage in the later slides, but as far as possible, it has been made online and anonymous. And also the idea behind faceless assessment was to optimize the utilization of the resources through the economies of scale. So, and also ensuring functional specialization. So the income tax department, they are spread all across the country with their offices in various districts, and there are different departments in different areas, different jurisdictions who have their own set of specialization based on the kind of cases they deal in the particular region, or maybe depending upon the region, there could be a particular sector in which more transactions relate to those kind of businesses. So different areas have different kind of specialization. Right now, that is not being fully optimized. But when the things becomes faceless, when the things becomes anonymous, then no one knows that which assessing officer is assessing it, and the department has worked this out very well to ensure that different functional specialities are taken care of, and those particular, there have been expert panels which have been created, and a particular case in requiring expert intervention will be referred to that particular branch of the income tax department, so that expert opinion can come. So as we were discussing earlier, the CBDT had notified the e-assessment scheme 2019, which was in the last year, to conduct the assessments electronically. and the scheme came into effect from 12th September 2019 last year, and assessments were being carried out electronically. However, now this e-proceeding facility has been changed into faceless assessment uh, facility, and instead of just doing assessments electronically through the same assessing officer, now it would happen through the faceless system. We'll come to this slide later. This talks about how the assessments will happen for a particular year. So before that, we'll go through the scheme. So this particular faceless assessment scheme, they apply to scrutiny assessment and best judgment assessments under section 143.3 and 144. So as of now, this does not apply to income escaping assessments in case of search, seizure, and survey cases. So search, seizure, and survey cases and the income assessment escaping assessments wherein the department unearths particular evasion of taxes and income, they would continue to be done through jurisdictional officers. The department also has investigation and intelligence wings. So the work of unearthing these things will be taken care of by the investigation wing, and assessment will be done by the jurisdictional officer for these kind of cases. However, the regular assessments and best judgment assessments will go through the faceless assessment scheme. So earlier, all the assessments they used to go through the designated jurisdictional assessing officer. Right now, in case of regular assessments, only the recovery of tax, rectification of mistakes, and these kind of minor works would go to the jurisdictional officer. However, the overall assessment will happen through the faceless assessment portal. And this is how the structure looks like for the assessment faceless assessments. So there is a national e-assessment center, which is the nodal agency and the interface between the SSCs and the income tax department. Then there are regional e-assessment centers. These e-assessment centers are located at different regions. However, they would not cater to a particular region. So based on the random selection which the e-assessment center would do, different cases will be assigned to different regions. So a case from East region can be assigned to West region or South region. So there is no region specific, but for internal management of the income tax department, there are the different areas and different jurisdictions have been defined as different regional e-assessment centers through which the assessments will be done. Then there are assessment units under the regional assessment centers. There are verification units to do a second level verification and checks. There are technical units, which are the expert units. So for things like transfer pricing, international taxation, or having expertise in a particular matter, there would be technical units which would be providing technical inputs and know-how in a particular assessment case. And there are review units which would be handling the overall review. Once a draft assessment order is prepared, it would be reviewed by the review unit for any mistakes and error, and to see the applicability of different laws. And all these will be coordinating with the National E-Assessment Center, and National E-Assessment Center will be coordinating with the SSCs. So as we discussed, the National E-Assessment Center, their main objective and purpose is to facilitate and conduct the complete e-assessment proceedings, and it will. So the end responsibility of ensuring e-assessment under this scheme falls with the National E-Assessment Centers, and all the communication with the SSCs and all the communication internally will be routed through the National E-Assessment Centers. And as we discussed, there are different regional e-assessment centers. They would not cater to a particular region, but internally they have been divided for better functioning of the tax department. The assessment units, they would perform the function of actually making the assessments on ground, and their role would be to identify the points or issuing material for determination of the liability, including refund under the Act, seeking information or clarification on points or issues so identified, analysis of the material furnished by the SSC or any other person, and such other functions as may be required. So the work which the assessing officer would do, usually those works will be done by the assessment units under the faceless assessment scheme. And then there are verification units, and verification units, they will carry out the function of inquiry, cross verification, examination of books of accounts, examination of supporting documents, and recording of statements. These will be done by verification units. And the things like examination of witness, recording of statement on oath, these things under the faceless assessment scheme will be done mostly through the video conferencing. And again, the physical and manual intervention, the government has tried to keep that as minimum. Then there are technical units which would take care of specialized functions like valuation, audit, transfer pricing, data analysis, and giving expert opinion on different matters. So then there are review units. So the review units, their role would be to see whether the relevant and material evidence has been brought on record or not, whether the relevant points of fact and law have been duly incorporated in the draft order or not, whether the issues on which addition or disallowance is being done, they have been discussed in detail in the draft order or not, whether the applicable judicial decisions have been considered and dealt with in the draft order or not, and also the arithmetical correction and modification, if any. So these will be the functions and role of the review unit. So mostly it will take care, it will ensure that there are no errors, no mistakes in the draft order which has been prepared by the assessment units. And they'll also see into the case laws, they will see into the technical matters with the help of the technical units, and ensure that the order which is being prepared, the draft order, is as per the law. So we'll go through the procedure in bit more detail. So the e-assessment proceedings shall be initiated by the National E-Assessment Center, and the National E-Assessment Center shall serve notice on the SSC under different sections of scrutiny assessments, mainly 143(2) section. And then the steps involved would be serving of the notice by the National E-Assessment Center. Second will be filing of response within 15 days by the SSC to the National E-Assessment Center. Then there would be intimation to the SSC. The National E-Assessment Center shall intimate the SSC that assessment in his case shall be completed under the scheme, where the SSC, these are the cases in which the SSC has filed his income tax return under section 139 or 142(1), or if a notice is served under section 143(2), the intimation of the various provisions under which the assessment is being done, the matters which will be taken up in the assessment, whether it is a complete detailed scrutiny or if it is on a particular point, all these points will be conveyed and intimated by the National E-Assessment Center by way of an intimation to the SSC who is being scrutinized. Then the role of the E-Assessment Center would be to allocate the particular case to the assessment unit. Again, this allocation will happen randomly and through a system, computer-generated system using artificial intelligence and machine learning. So it will be automated through the systems developed by the Income Tax Department, and different cases will be allocated by the E-Assessment Center to different assessment units. Again, not related to a particular jurisdiction or any particular region. Then next step would be the request by assessment unit for assistance. So now the assessment unit, if they need any assistance, maybe of the verification unit to carry out any verification of books of accounts, supporting documents, cross-examination, verification of evidences, recording statement on oath. So for all these things, the assessment unit may make a request to the E-Assessment Center to to provide them with the help of a verification unit. And secondly, they would also request for help under technical help from the technical unit for technical assistance. If they feel that any of the matter they need expert opinion and expert views, then they can make a request to assessment center, and e-assessment center would then allocate again through the random allocation process to the respective verification unit or to the technical unit which the assessment unit may require help from. So next step would be the support to be extended by National E-Assessment Center. Again, sending the notices, sending communication back to the SSC, uh, getting the inputs from the verification unit on what all inquiries have been done and providing it to the assessment units, the taking the details from the technical unit and sharing it with the assessment units. So all these internal coordination, taking the details, passing it across will be done by the e-assessment center, and it will be ensuring complete support to the assessment units. Yeah, the reports which the e-assessment center receives from these verification units and the technical units, they would share it with the respective assessment units. And also in case of best judgment assessments, wherein the SSCs, they don't respond with the required relevant details and documents, and the department does not get enough document from the SSC or response from the SSC, in those cases the National E-Assessment Center shall serve a notice under section 144, and it shall also issue so cause notice to the SSC. And depending upon these notices, it shall also help the assessment unit, the respective assessment unit, to carry out the best judgment assessment by providing them required details and documents as available in the records of the income tax department to help them ensure the complete assessment under the best judgment assessment. So based on all these inputs from the assessment units, from the verification unit, and from the technical unit, and to and fro of information, then a draft assessment order is prepared by the assessment unit, and then it is intimated to the National E-Assessment Center, and then the National E-Assessment Center would share the draft assessment order with the SSC along with a show cause notice that why a particular addition disallowance should not happen. And the National E-Assessment Center shall also facilitate the review of the draft assessment order. Before the draft assessment order is shared with the SSC for their inputs, it is reviewed in detail by the review unit in coordination with the National E-Assessment Center. So the functions of review unit we earlier discussed. So it will review the applicable laws, it will review the applicable facts of the case, arithmetical and other errors, applicable case laws, all these will be reviewed by the review unit. And after the review is done, the so-called notice and the draft assessment order is shared with the SSC, and the SSC is given an opportunity, it shall be given an opportunity to reply as to why the particular disallowance or addition should not be made, or if the SSC has any other thing to say. And then based on the inputs from the response from the SSC, again the National E-Assessment Center would ensure the revision of draft order, and the revision of draft order which is done and the response which is reviewed is again done, shall be done by a separate assessment unit. So this review will not be done by the same assessment unit which has earlier received the response and prepared a draft order. It will be done by some other assessment unit, again allocated randomly, so that there is again a second review and second opinion on the matter taken internally, and then again the revised assessment order is prepared. And once the revised assessment order is prepared, the final assessment order is then prepared and shared with the assessing with the SSC. And in middle, if there is any other response which comes or any other matter which requires verification or technical support, then the earlier steps are again repeated till the time the assessment order is finalized. And in all this coordination, the nodal and the coordinating authority would be the National E-Assessment Center. And once the order is finalized and passed, the National E-Assessment Center will transfer all the electronic records of the case to the jurisdictional assessing officer after the completion of assessment for the purpose of such action as may be required under the Act. It can be recovery of demand and allowing rectification, allowing appeals. So for all these matters, the electronic data, the details of the SSC, all the submissions done, all the reviews done, reports received by the National E-Assessment Center through the verification units or from the technical units, all those details are sent to the assessing officer for his further action. And the principal chief commissioner or the principal director general in charge of the National E-Assessment Center, he may transfer the case to the assessing officer having jurisdiction over such cases at any stage of the assessment with prior approval of the CBDT, which means that the case cannot be transferred to the assessing officer at a request of a junior officer or a assessing officer. It will require intervention of the highest authorities in the income tax department, the CBDT, and that too on a request of the commissioner or the principal commissioner only, and then only it will be transferred to in a very remote, and in case of exigencies it can be transferred to the assessing officers. Otherwise it will be handled and managed by the National E-Assessment Center till the time the final assessment order is passed. So what are the consequences for non-compliance? So during the course of proceedings, any unit may send a recommendation to the National E-Assessment Center for initiation of penalty proceedings under the Act against the SSC or other person for non-compliance of any notice, direction, or order issued under this scheme. So in the Income Tax Act, there are various penalty provisions for non-appearance, for violation of a summon. So all those provisions, they stay as it is, and depending upon the non-compliance in a particular case, the respective assessment unit, they may intimate, and accordingly the National E-Assessment Center will initiate the penalty and recovery proceedings for a particular SSC. And on receipt of such recommendation, the E-Assessment Center shall first issue a so-cause notice to the SSC or any other person to give him an opportunity to explain why the penalty shall not be imposed on him, and the response submitted by the SSC or any other person shall be forwarded to the concerned unit which has made the recommendation. And the concerned unit, after considering the response, shall either make a draft order of penalty or drop it after recording reasons and forward the copy of the order to the National E-Assessment Center for further communication with the SSC. And the National E-Assessment Center shall levy penalty as per the draft penalty order and serve a copy of the same along with the demand notice on the SSC or any other person on whom the proceedings are being carried out. And thereafter it shall transfer electronic records of the penalty proceedings to the jurisdictional assessing officer for further action and for recovery of such penalties. So this was about assessment. We'll discuss in more detail in later slides. And after the assessment order is passed or any order is passed by the assessing authorities, as we discussed earlier, there is an option with the SSC to go for an appeal with Commissioner of Income Tax Appeal. And with effect from 25th September 2020, the appeal process with the Commissioner Appeal has also been made faceless. And earlier, even the Commissioner Appeals were assigned as per the address of the address of the assessing officer under which the SSC would be falling. So now, when the assessment process itself is faceless, it was inevitable to make the appeal proceedings also faceless. So appeal proceedings have also been made faceless, And
So this appeal system goes faceless from tomorrow. You're saying 25th of September.
yes, yes, from tomorrow.
Okay, that's great.
And again, in the faceless appeal, also it's the similar thing. There is a nodal authority which will be handling and coordinating the appeal cases, and the territorial or jurisdictions of the commissioner appeal have been abolished, and instead they will have countrywide jurisdiction in respect of appeals falling under the faceless appeal scheme. And pending as well as new appeals will be randomly allotted by the computerized process to any commissioner appeal anywhere in the country. And accordingly, the appeal proceedings will be taken care of. In the current scenario also, the filing of appeal with the commissioner appeal is 100% online. It happens through the online login. And through that, the appeals are filed. However, after online filing of appeal, the case was assigned to jurisdictional commissioner appeal, and the commissioner appeal would call for send notice and call for hearing, and manual hearings with the office of the commissioner appeal was done till now. Now the hearing with the commissioner appeals will also happen under the faceless scheme, and there would be no jurisdictional commissioner appeal. It can be randomly provided, assigned to any officer across the country. And the identity of the commissioner deciding an appeal will remain unknown to the SSEs. Appeal documents as well as submissions will be filed by the appellants online. There will be no need to visit income tax office or the commissioner during the appeal. The SSE would not know that which commissioner appeal is handling. So the question of visiting the appeal or meeting the commissioner appeal does not come across at all, and all the submissions and hearings shall happen online. And in appropriate cases, oral hearing may be permitted on the request of the appellant. However, such hearings will take place exclusively through video conferencing in accordance with the procedure that may be laid down by the board. So the video conferencing procedures are yet to come, and they would be mostly internal procedures which will be circulated, and that will have to be followed. And the appellate decisions will also be team based, and it will be reviewed by a different commissioner before issue of appeal orders. So the process of appeal will also be similar to assessment, wherein there would be specialized technical units, there will be specialized verification units, and there would be a team of commissioner appeal who will be handling a particular commissioner appeals, would be preparing a draft order, and then another set of commissioner appeal would be then reviewing the order, and then the final orders would be passed. Similar to faceless assessments, faceless appeals are not applicable in case of international taxation division, in case of search, seizure, and fraud cases, and cases under the Foreign Money and Benami Property Act. So if there are any inquiry, any proceedings under these acts, then similar to what it was earlier through the jurisdictional officer, the proceedings will be carried out. However, for the regular SSCs, the assessment and the appeals both become faceless. The highlights again are that all communications will happen through electronic media, and all the electronic records shall be authenticated by way of affixing of digital signatures, be it orders, be it notices. All of these will have valid documents ID number, and it will also be having the digital signature of the person, ensuring legitimacy, and also ensuring that the correct documents are signed by the correct person, and then only it is shared with the SSCs. So, delivery of electronic records. Every notice or order shall be delivered to the SSC by way of the following means, along with real-time alerts. So, placing an authenticated copy thereof in the SSC's registered account. So, the web portal of the Income Tax Department, which all the SSC has, the respective orders, notices, or response from the department shall be placed at the online portal available with the Income Tax Department, and sending an authenticated copy thereof to the registered email ID of the SSC or his authorized representative. The email ID which is registered with the income tax department for the SSC or his authorized representative, a copy shall also be sent through the registered email ID. Then third, uploading an authenticated copy of the SSC's mobile app. So there is a mobile app from the income tax department for e-proceedings, and all the orders notices will also be uploaded in the mobile app. Every notice or order or any other electronic communication under the scheme shall be delivered to any other person by sending an authenticated copy thereof to the registered email ID of such person, followed by a real-time alert. So all the three will be done above, and real-time alerts with each of them shall also be sent to the SSCs. And the SSC shall submit his response to any notice or any other electronic communication through his registered account. Once an acknowledgement is sent by the National E-Assessment Center containing the hash result generated upon successful submission of the response shall be deemed to be authenticated. So every response submitted online, acknowledgement will be generated, and through the e-filing portal, the unique hash results shall also be generated, which shall be a proof of authenticated submission of response. Now, what does registered email address mean? So registered email address means the email address at which an electronic communication may be delivered or transmitted to the addressee, including. So there, all these following email addresses will be considered as registered email address. So the email address available in the e-filing account of the SSC registered in the designated e-filing portal, the mail address available in the last income tax return furnished by the addressee, the email address available in the PAN database relating to the addressee. In the case of addressee being an individual who possesses Aadhaar number, the email address of addressee available in the database of UIDAI. And in case of SSCs being company, the email address of the company as available on the official website of the MCA, or any other email address as made available by the SSC to the income tax authority or any other person authorized by such authorities. So all the available options, they shall be considered as a registered email address. So the department would try and retrieve these email addresses from these sources which we discussed and would send the communication to these email IDs. So how will personal appearance at the centers and units be done? So as per the e-assessment scheme and also as per the faceless scheme, a person shall not be required to appear either personally or through an authorized representative in connection with e-assessment. However, an SSC may request for personal hearing to make his oral submission or present his case against the draft assessment order. The Chief Commissioner or the Director General in charge of the regional e-assessment center under which the concerned unit is set up may approve the request for personal hearing. However, in such cases, the hearing shall be conducted exclusively through video conferencing, including use of telecommunication application software, which supports video telephony. Any examination or recording of the statement of the SSC or any other person other than statement recorded in course of survey under section 133A shall be conducted by an income tax authority in any unit under the scheme exclusively through video conferencing, including use of telecommunication sector. And the CBDT shall establish suitable facilities for video conferencing, including telecommunication application software, which supports video telephony at such locations as may be necessary. So the department is working towards creating the required infrastructure. So wherever there is a request for a personal hearing or oral discussion, the approval from the principal commissioner will be required. And once the approval is granted, it shall happen, but only through video conferencing tools which the department may set up at various places. This is applicable to both faceless assessments and faceless appeals. So in cases of scrutiny assessment, other than those specifically covered be conducted electronically. So yeah, the cases which are covered under the faceless assessment scheme, they will 100% be done electronically. Some cases, the older cases which are not under the faceless scheme, they would continue to be completed through the e-proceeding process, which is already going on, wherein all the submissions shall be submitted through the e-proceeding center. And the CBDT has issued instructions that all scrutiny assessments subject to certain conditions shall be conducted only through the e-proceedings functionality available at e-filing website of the Income Tax Department. So including the faceless assessment, the older assessments will also happen through the e-proceedings functionality, wherein the notices shall be issued electronically and all the submissions also have to be made electronically. However, in older cases where jurisdictional assessing officer is already assigned, in those cases, having a face-to-face hearing with the concerned jurisdictional assessing officer is also available. However, any submission or any notices will be handled and submitted only through the e-proceeding functionality. We'll just go back quickly to a slide which we had skipped earlier. So up to the assessment year 1920, which is financial year 1819, only the scrutiny assessments was covered within the ambit of e-assessment. So for financial year 1819 onwards, the e-assessment proceedings were started where notices were issued through the online portal of the Income Tax Department and the response were also accepted there. And with effect from assessment year 2021, which is financial year 1920 onwards, the CBDT has authorized to introduce scheme of e-assessment for section 144 also, which is a best judgment assessment. And accordingly, the CBDT has amended e-assessment scheme to cover best judgment assessments. So this is one point. And secondly, in the first phase, out of more than 2.5 lakh cases selected for scrutiny for assessment year 1819, which is financial year 1718. So last year, around 2.5 lakh cases were selected for scrutiny for financial year 1718, which is assessment year 1819. And out of these 2.5 lakh cases, 58,319 cases were selected under the new scheme of e-assessment. And this was done on a pilot basis. And the remaining scrutiny cases were conducted through the e-proceedings facility of the e-filing portal. So this faceless assessment was initiated for financial year 1718, relevant to assessment year 1819, in around 58,319 cases. So those cases will continue to be covered under the faceless assessment scheme and they will be closed under that scheme only. Even we are handling certain cases related to financial year 1718, wherein the assessment, faceless assessment is going on and the assessment will get closed before 31st of December 2020. So these cases are already there under the faceless scheme, these 58,319 cases which were there as a pilot project. And apart from that, the other scrutiny cases which are going on for financial year 1718 and also for financial year 1819, which has already been initiated, they will be completed under the e-proceedings facility, wherein through the e-filing portal electronically the notices will come and submission will be made. However, in those cases, the jurisdictional assessing officer is already known and available. However, any scrutiny which is now being taken care of or appeal which is heard, in case of scrutiny assessments and best judgment assessments which are happening after 13th of August 2020 and all appeal cases after 25th September 2020, they will all go under the faceless scheme. Apart from search, survey and income escaping cases as we discussed. Yeah, I think this is about the faceless assessment scheme and the faceless appeal scheme, which the government and the income tax department has recently announced and notified. So we have tried to cover most of the things which are available. And Alok, if you have anything
So
to add
Rahul,
to it.
I have a couple of things which I wanted to ask you. First is what will change with faceless e-assessments for government, for the SSCs also. So for SSCs, what will change? I mean, what should they do in terms of to be more careful and ensure that they are not being on the wrong side of this faceless assessment?
So a few things the SSCs will have to be very, very careful is one is that compliance of notices within time is very important. So under the assessments, if there is any notice and if no one appears, in the earlier cases it was physical appearance. Now if no response is submitted within the due date, for every non-compliance, for every date which is non-complied with, there is a penalty provision of 10,000 rupee. So if during assessment proceeding there are 10 dates given, normally the department would come up with different dates and give the opportunity to the SSC. And if there are several dates given and compliance does not happen within the due date, then there can be penalty for each and every non-appearance. So even if someone is not able to submit the response, complete response, it can be a partial response and a time petition can be filed for submission of further response. And even before that, if no response, someone is able to submit, they should submit a time petition well within the due date provided in the notice to avoid any penalty. Uh, Apart from that, so now the department will be technically very, very strong under this scheme. So in our experience in last 15 years, we have seen that in various places, the professionals, they are technically very strong. Department, some officers, we have found that them to be very, very knowledgeable and expert in their domain. Some officers are not that up to date, but now, when we are talking about this faceless assessment scheme, wherein there is a specialized technical unit, there is a specialized verification unit, there will be a second level of review after all these reports have been accumulated into a draft order. And so the groundwork done by the income tax department will be much more strong. So we have received a draft assessment order last week. I'll tell you, and the way it has been drafted is very different from what we have seen in earlier cases. So the draft order is very detailed. It has referred to various case laws. It has discussed the relevant provision under which the addition is being done in detail. So difference is already visible in the, so this case which we are talking about is one of the pilot cases of the 53,200 cases which the government had taken up for financial year 17-18. So few such cases we are handling, and we see that uh, the department has become very systematic. So now the easy approach cannot be taken either by the SSC or the professional who are representing the SSC. Timely compliance and being very strong on the technicalities of the law and the things for which we are fighting for during the assessment has to be very, very strong and reasonable.
So what
And
you're saying, so what you're saying is that since there is a centralization of the knowledge and the resource for income tax department, you will have more stronger orders, orders which will be based on case laws, which will be based on the facts of the case, and which will be well researched and then passed.
yeah,
uh, today you will have many, so you will have one tax officer sitting in a corner of the country, and he might just pass an order which might not be correct as per the law, and you have a chance to fight that order at the CIT appeal. I think so you will have more quality orders at the junior level, so appeal cases and tribunal cases will reduce. So one is that. Now as far as SSCs are concerned, so from what I see, Rahul, is that one point which you have raised is with regard to the notices. Earlier, people will not visit on a particular date, and then they will file an adjournment bad dated, and they will have a friend relationship with the assessing officer, and he will not do anything and he will not initiate any penalty. But I think those things will not be now. If there is a date, if there is a date to submit, if there is something you have to submit, and even a partial submission might invite penalties. I think that is a very critical point. And to add to that point, what I was trying to address is that as a SSE, you cannot leave anything on the good luck and on the mind of a assessing officer. You have to work very diligently, and you have to work as per the law. And even the submissions, which I had touched upon, Rahul, earlier, that even the submissions, the quality of submission from an SSE point of view has to be world class, which would have all the rulings, case rulings, relevant facts of the case, so that even if your assessing officer at the junior level, if he doesn't accept it and he rejects and he adds and levy taxes, you have an option to go to the higher authority. Earlier, many things you would manage locally, and the quality of the submissions might not be great, and you will come out of it because you had some local connections because you had a predefined jurisdiction as SSE. So I think the quality of submission from the SSE side needs to really improve, and that's where Tax Mantra comes in. I mean, we are helping hundreds of businesses, and considering this is online, and this is not restricted to a jurisdiction. I mean, we as a firm are already helping, and we can help not only SSEs but tax officials and professionals also, who might not have the right expertise and who might be from a smaller town, who need help in terms of the expertise. I think that's where our role also gets highlighted and get enhanced as a tax firm, uh,
Exactly,
because the
exactly.
quality of orders, as you rightly said, now your order will be drafted in Mumbai and Delhi. And in Delhi, they will have all the tax laws, all the lawyers, all the team who would be drafting and who will be doing assessment. So many times क्या होता था कि local tax officer में ये point miss हो गया, ये point officer ने देखा नहीं, and we missed those points. But those things will not be possible, and it will be a thorough scrutiny. So be prepared for that. This is a transparency. With transparency brings in lot of thorough scrutiny and thorough in detail checking.
I
And
think
I think
this word, which was stated even by the finance minister, and the government has promoting this a lot, and I think this makes a lot of sense. That the platform has been launched as a transparent taxation, honoring the honest.
hmm,
So if you are a honest taxpayer, and if you have done things as per the law, things become really easy and simple for you. You submit the details online, you submit the documents online, you submit the basis of which you have claimed certain deductions and exemptions, and it will be reviewed as per the law, and without corruption, without bureaucracy,
but
without
the Rahul,
hassles, you will
yeah.
get a favorable assessment order. However, if there are issues in your books, there are hidden things. If there are things you have not complied with, then escaping those things becomes really difficult, because the process, as we discussed earlier, and as you rightly said, Alok, has been made really thorough. Uh, I think this
And
technical unit.
Rahul, I just want to add one more point here. Not only in terms of any information which is hidden in your books of accounts, or anything which you might have managed locally. I think again I want to stress on the quality of the submission. With Even though you are genuine, even though you are a tax honest payer, but if you have not represented your case properly online, if you have not presented the case properly, you will lose out.
Right,
So I think
right.
that is very critical. I mean, local licensing से या local relationship से अब केस मैनेज होने वाला नहीं है. अगर अगर आपको जीतना है टैक्स ऑफिसर्स के सामने, डिपार्टमेंट के सामने, और आप if you have to really come out as winners out of the tax assessment, तब your quality of assessments and the professional, I'm again stressing, becomes the most critical part. You just cannot just file anything, a two-liner submission will not work. You have to have a proper case laws, backup case laws, updated case laws, what's happening globally, and also the facts of the case, so that if your first jurisdiction, if that at that point of time, if there is a rejection and the assessing officer adds, you have an option to fight it out at the next stage. I think that is very, very important, and that's where I think a lot of awareness would go for taxpayers. I think with this, I have one query, which is from so someone who says I'm anonymous. It's fine. So I was an NRI last assessment year. My income in India is from interest of NRO, saving and fixed deposit. He has moved his income from fixed deposit and everything to mutual fund, and now find some entries in SFT. All transactions were made online from my saving account. Total investment is more than my income in India. What are the consequences if I need to do? I think, Rahul, what's your view? But in my view, it's the worry is not in terms of your investment is more than in India, income in India. Your global, if you can prove the source, I think there is no challenge. Rahul, what's your view?
Yeah, so what I understand that he was a NRI, and if you are a NRI in the last year, then your global income was not liable to be taxed in India. So if it is your global income which is earned outside India and you bring it into India through your NRE account into your NRO account and then make the investments, and if so once you move it into your NRO account, then all the income which is coming out from that particular investment in India, be it mutual funds, fixed deposits, bank deposits, all the taxes accruing in India out of those incomes has to be taken care of, and taxes have to be paid in India. But yeah, as you rightly said, Alok, that the investment quantum being higher than the income does not make a difference, as long as those are income which is earned from legible sources outside India and brought into India for investments. So we'll have to understand the exact details in more detail. We'll have to see the analyze the uh, NRI status till when the person was NRI and when he became a resident individual. So there's a concept of resident but not ordinarily resident also, or NOR, during which even if the person has become a resident, still for maybe a couple of years, the only India sourced income is taxed and not the global income. So all those things can be analyzed and worked into seeing the actual facts of the case.
Yeah. I think with this, we end today's webinar. It was a very insightful webinar, and we will do more on this faceless assessment so that we ensure that businesses are on top of it and they get the right support, Rahul. And I think, and thanks for a detailed webinar, and thanks everyone joining on YouTube, on Facebook, who have registered on Zoom through our webinar. And we will come back with more webinar, and we will touch upon other aspects of faceless assessment soon. And we are internally opening up and creating a center for faceless assessments. It will be a very unique, first of its kind in India, so that we help assessing assessees to have the right strategies to face these faceless assessments. Even though these are faceless assessments, but still we have to face these assessments. So with this, I thank everyone, and thanks for joining in. We will come back soon. Uh, Thanks everyone from Tax Mantra Global as of now, and uh, uh, stay safe, stay healthy, and we will come and do another webinar sometime soon.
Thanks everyone. Thanks, Alok.
Thanks.